Good evening, Robert Scribbler here with the OBX Wave Report. And for this edition of the OBX Wave Report, we're going to do a follow-up review of the Lost Rocket Redux and its performance that I have experienced surfing it here in the Outer Banks. So like many people, I've seen the videos, I've heard the talk about the Lost Rocket Redux, and there's been a lot of positive reviews of this board. And I want to say that my review so far has been mixed, but I'm going to put a little caveat to my review, and and I am going to do a follow-on review when I get some more experience surfing this board. I've been out 3 times with the board, and for the first couple of times, the water conditions were a little bit too cold for me to get a good sense of the performance of the board. And this weekend I went down to Avon Pier in 66 degree water with my 2-3 mil wetsuit, which handled the water temperatures just fine. And I did get the opportunity to surf a few waves with the Lost Rocket Redux. And what I'm going to say is that on the positive side, actually before I get into it, I'm going to tell you the way it's set up. So this is set up with thruster fin setup, and the fins that I am using for the Lost Rocket Redux are FCS 2 family from the Shaper series. So we're using FCS Shaper series tri-quad fins, and these are large size, and I have a suspicion that these fins are probably a little bit too large for me, for my build on this board. I'm going to talk a little bit about that as I get into it. And this is the performance type of fin, so it's like an all-around kind of fin. It's supposed to be good for most kinds of surfing conditions. It's not optimized for, it's a versatile fin. It's not optimized for specific types such as speed or that kind of thing. So I have the FCS2 Performance Shaper series on this board, and the board again is the Lost Rocket Redux, and as you can see, it's got a little bit of rocker in the front. It's not too strong of a rocker. It's relatively flat, and then it's got a little bit of rocker in through the tail here. The board also has a pretty deep concave in the center of the board, and you can't really, you can kind of see it here. So there's a pretty deep concave in the center of the board. Now, concave is good for holding wave face and for generating speed as you turn and surf, but it also creates drag in the paddle, and I'm going to get into that a little bit more. But generally, the board is very stable in the duck dive. It is very stable once you get moving on the face, and it goes where you want to go. I mean, you point, you just kind of lean, and I feel very precise, as I point the board. The board just points where I want it to go. And so on that side of it, on this like stability and solidity and performance as far as like a surfing board on the face of a wave, it's a very accurate board. It's and I feel like I can pretty much do anything with it. My only issue with this board is, and I think I'm a pretty strong paddler. I'm strong upper body strength. I've been paddling for all my life. I feel like I got the good paddle style. And on my other board, the 6'4" Eberly here, I just rip it up. I can cut through the water, just blast right on through the water with my Eberly. So, but this thing, it feels like it's dragging as far as like my paddle speed. So the paddle speed is slower, and I mean considerably slower. I am putting a lot more energy into gaining the paddle speed that I need to paddle out through the waves and to catch waves. And in addition to that, if like, I notice that like if I'm in the slop or like if there's like a small wave behind me and I paddle into it, you know, I did a little test, and the board doesn't plane on you know, whitewater or small waves at all. It's just the whitewater just goes right on by, and the board doesn't really even pick up speed. And my suspicion is that the fin arrangement that I have is too large for this board to generate the kind of paddle power that I want. I don't want to have to be in like the perfect position to catch the wave. And what I've had to do with this board in order to catch the wave is not only do I have to be in a really good position, but I have to really give it like some extra oomph. And at Avon the other day, the waves were really hollow. They were tossing, and the board, you know, as you're paddling into the wave, it kind of wants to ride up to the lip before it gets the angle where it gets enough speed to plane down the face of the wave. And the way the waves were throwing over there at Avon, I didn't want to get up in the lip because it was just gonna launch me right into the hollow of the wave there. So I had to really paddle to get the right speed and the lower position in the wave to be able to take off and then effectively ride a hollow fast wave. Now the other thing I noticed is that I really couldn't angle the board, like pre-angle it on the face of the wave to predetermine like my position. I had to start off the takeoff straight, and then once I had enough speed, then I could do the bottom turn. It wouldn't drop in on an angle, even on a pretty hollow wave. It wanted to ride up the face of the wave, and by the time it got to the top of the wave on the drop in, the tops of the waves were just really throwing. And I know there's a lot of talk about, you know, the main factor for a surfboard being, you know, the paddler and your paddle speed. I have to say that I disagree. I mean, you can be a very strong paddler and still have a board that is not going to allow you to catch as many waves. You're going to have to be in a more optimized, you know, position. And unless you're like a professional surfer where you know, like just almost instinctively, and you've got this ridiculous paddle speed, then the board is going to actually really make a lot of difference. And the one thing that I think can get people into a lot of trouble is the new FCS fin arrangements. There's so many choices, and oftentimes you really might not even know what the right fin arrangement is for your board until you've ridden the board. And I got advice at Real Water Sports based on the fin arrangements for this board, and I believe that my fins are a little bit too large for what I need. Now, just to give you some idea as to the parameters of the board, this is a 6'1". It's I think 39.5 liters. I am 175 pounds, and generally it feels like, as far as float goes, the board floats just fine. In fact, I notice when I'm duck diving, the board just really wants to just pop up like a cork, which is great for duck diving because I can just get it in, you know, just get it under the wave, angle it, and as the energy of the wave goes over me, I just pop right on through. So it's just a great board for duck diving. What I'm going to do before I buy another set of fins, because these fins are relatively expensive, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch it out to the quad configuration, because the quad configuration has less drag. We don't have that center fin in there making as much drag, and the quad configuration is going to give us generally a slower plane speed, so it's going to make it easier for the board to plane and hopefully make it easier for me to catch the waves in different positions and in different arrangements on the wave to be able to like point my nose more as I catch the wave, or to not necessarily be in the perfect position on the wave to catch the wave. So overall, I do really enjoy the board. I just don't want to have to, fight it. I want to catch more waves so I can learn or regain my higher skill level. Because right now I consider myself probably about an intermediate level surfer, and I want to just catch more waves and not necessarily worry about so much about perfect positioning right now, so that I can gain more skill and confidence, and then maybe I'll go back to a more, I guess like a more maneuverable arrangement and a more drag oriented arrangement when my confidence level goes up, and maybe I get a little bit more upper body strength. Though right now I think I've got a pretty decent amount of upper body strength. So for my first review on the Lost Rocket Redux is not a very strong paddle board with the thruster arrangement and in the 3-fin, not enough get up and go for what I wanted. Very stable board, very fun board once you do catch the wave. It's fantastic for maneuvering on the wave, and surprisingly, even though it's very maneuverable, also very solid, just also a very solid feel for the board. So I guess if I were to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, paddle power, I'd give it about, I don't know, maybe a 3 or a 4. I guess it could be worse if the board was shorter. And I have had a short board that was worse than this, but this is not a very strong paddling board in its current arrangement. For like stability and duck diving and just general like stability before you surf, or just like pushing through gnarly stuff, I give it probably about an 8 or a 9. So very, very solid board for duck diving, getting through those heavy waves. And then for riding, once you launch, once you do your takeoff, and for both maneuverability and stability, I give it probably about a 9. Yeah, a 9 for both of those. It's just got amazing control and stability, so amazing combination of both. I can really see why people like to have this board for riding tubes, because when you're tight in the wave, you got a lot of ability to pump and turn on like a very tight scale, just kind of do like almost like a little mini pump. So overall, very pleased with the board, but I want more paddle power. So we're going to try first in the quad arrangement, and then I think I might downsize my fins a little bit, and we'll see how it does. We'll see what happens in the quad arrangement, if it, how much more loose it gets, and if we still have that really amazing dial in as far as control and how the parameters change, like how much we trade for paddle power versus versus maneuverability and control on the face. I'm actually really curious about that. I want to see it. And since these fins are large, it's probably actually contributing a little bit to that control, because you got the extra drag once you do take off and once you get the speed that you need to start doing the maneuvers. So very interesting. I'm I still have, I think, mixed feelings about the FCS. In a way, I've been spoiled because I've had very well-shaped boards, or at least I got to the point where I knew what I needed in like the traditional thruster designs, and now with the new 5 well arrangements, it gives you more choices, so it can let you optimize more and kind of choose what you need for various conditions, which I find very appealing. But on the flip side, I think you can unintentionally mess yourself up too. So so that's my first review of the Lost Rocket Redux, and this is a wide version of the Rocket Redux. So it's a hybrid board. It's got a little fishiness, and a lot of a lot of feel to like a kind of a traditional surfboard, but with a lot more float. Traditional shortboard, but with a lot more float and volume than you would typically have. I'm excited to get these the quad fin arrangement set up in it, and to give it a shot out here, see if I can get a little bit more get up and go, catch some more waves, and try and knock this board into different kinks of the waves and under different conditions. One thing I am concerned about is taking the fins out. I can't take the fins out with my just my hands. I've looked at the YouTube videos, and the FCS system is this one. The fins are just really, really tight, and even the guy at the surf shop had to get the tool to insert the fins, and he was struggling a little bit just to insert the fins. I don't want to pull the fin boxes out accidentally, so what I think I'm going to do is go back to Real Water Sports, purchase a fin tool. I probably should have done that the first time around. They're not that expensive, about $25. $15 to $25. Probably worthwhile to save your board. And then I'm going to get someone to teach me how to use the fin tool, because I knew nothing about taking these fins out and putting them in at this point. And I do not want to mess up a $900 board just by doing something stupid. So we're going to go back to Real Water Sports. We're going to get the quad fin set up. We're going to get our fin tool. And then we're going to get back out in the surf in my 32 mil wetsuit. We're going to go south so I don't freeze my tail off, and we're going to do it again. We're going to give you guys another review of the Lost Rocket Redux with a different fin arrangement. If any of you guys are fin experts, or if there's anyone from FCS that can give me some advice on my size and my board for the best kinds of fins for what I want right now, and what I want right now is mainly more catchability, more power. The board's a little bit more loose, a little bit more squirrely. I'm not really worried about that right now. I just want to get up and go on the waves and get more wave experience, because I want to build up my wave experience more. So, all right, so there is a review of the Lost Rocket Redux with the FCS Performance Shaper Series fins in the large version for me at 5'10", 170 pounds, pretty powerful upper body, pretty stocky, big feet, that kind of thing. All right, so thank you for joining me, and I will get back to you guys again with another review of the Lost Rocket Redux with a different fin arrangement. Take care.